Hello guys and welcome to the brand new video. In this video I will be predicting the 2020 Stanley Cup champion. As you can see, I have Vancouver Canucks gear right now, so of course Vancouver is in the Western Conference, and first we'll talk about East. So we'll get to the Canucks as well, but as of right now let's talk about the Eastern Conference matchups. Okay, so let's get right in it. First, we have playing rounds, so the teams which finished in the Eastern Conference from 5th all over to the 12th place will be playing in a best of 5 series for the progression to the first round, where they will play one of these 4 teams which finished in the first 4 spots in the Eastern Conference. So let's just get right in it. We'll start with the matchup Pittsburgh Penguins, which were 5th against the Montreal Canadiens, which finished as the 12th team. So there was a pretty big gap between Pittsburgh and Montreal. Pittsburgh had like 15 points more than Montreal, and they had also 2 games in hand. So Pittsburgh are clearly favorites, and Pittsburgh had some serious injury problems this season. Sidney Crosby was out. Jay Gensel, of course, had some serious injury, and many others. So Pittsburgh was also Evgeny Malkin missed some games. Pittsburgh was throughout the whole season experiencing injury issues, but this time they should have pretty much all of their guys back till the start of the playoff against Montreal Canadiens. We know that Bukestad won't play and Dominic Simon also won't play, so these are probably the only 2 guys that will be missing. And the coach Mike Sullivan, I think, will be really enthusiastic about the return of Jake Gensel, because that is very important. Jake Gensel is the elite sniper that Pittsburgh Penguins will be, giving a lot of hope in the playoffs. And when I look at it in this way, that Pittsburgh will have their guys back. Montreal, of course, Montreal Canadiens have Carey Price, one of the best goalies in the league as of right now, but since he has won the Vezina Trophy in, I guess, 2012, he I would say is still one of the best goalies in the league, but he has shown in the last few years some kind of digression in his form. And some people are saying that if it's best of 5, that Carey Price would just completely steal the show, and then he would win it all for Montreal Canadiens. But I actually think that this matchup will be won by the Pittsburgh Penguins under the leadership of Sid the Kid, so Sidney Crosby. And I really think that the Pittsburgh Penguins will eventually, go to the progress to the first round of the playoffs, because actually these matchups play in rounds as you have it written here. They are not considered to be a playoffs, they are just pre-playoff. So I think that out of these 2, Pittsburgh Penguins should grab the win. My personal prediction, I would say in 4 games, 3-1 in favor of the Penguins. That's just my prediction. So we'll move Pittsburgh here to the winning category. So we have the first winner. Continuing on with the series, Carolina Hurricanes playing the New York Rangers. This will be very interesting one. I said it, this would be the most interesting series of the playing rounds of the whole NHL, so of the East and of the West, because Carolina Hurricanes and New York Rangers, they're both very talented teams. Of course, you have here Sebastian Aho on the side of Carolina, Teuvo Teravainen, Andrei Svechnikov, you have Jacob Slavin back. You have pretty deep set of guys. Nino Niederreiter is up front, Ryan Zingle. So Carolina has some really good players, and New York Rangers have a really strong position in the net. They have got Alexander Georgiev, Igor Shesterkin, and Henrik Lundqvist. Those 3 are really good goaltenders. So yeah, on the both sides There is some pretty decent talent when you look at New York Rangers. They've got Artemi Panarin, of course, Mika Zibanejad, Ryan Strome, Chris Kreider is staying in New York, so that will be a very interesting match. And New York Rangers have been playing very well in the last, matches before the pause. So I think that they will be in very good condition. And Carolina even said that they don't agree with the playoff format as it is right now, said because they just don't want to play New York Rangers, because New York Rangers are really, very good team, and they have been playing really well in the last days. So Carolina doesn't want to play New York Rangers, and I'm not surprised by that. And Rod Brind'Amour knows that New York Rangers have their power and they could score a lot of goals. And I personally think that, I think that Rangers would beat at Carolina. That's just my prediction. Even though Carolina are favorites, they have the more points, but New York Rangers, I just think that, yeah, they have the talent and the depth to beat Carolina Hurricanes, and that will be the first upset of these games, because we see New York Rangers. I would say that they will beat Carolina. If you ask me in how matches, I don't know. I would say probably they would win in 5 matches, 3-2. It will be a very, very tight series, very hardly contested, and I think that eventually New York Rangers would come at the top. And also, guys, write in the comments section down below, who do you think will be the starter for the New York Rangers? Because I just don't know. I just don't know who will be the starter, if they will go with King Henry, who has a lot of experience, or if they will go with the young guys, either Georgiev or Shesterkin. I don't know. I really don't. So let me know down in the comment section below, who do you think will start in net for the Rangers. Continuing on, it's New York Islanders, and they play the Florida Panthers, the battle of the two very experienced coach. You have Barry Trotz here, you have Joel Quenneville here, so I'm looking forward to that coach's battle. And Florida, I just don't see them beating the Islanders. Islanders have a very good defensive structure, and yeah, Barry Trotz is just decent coach. What he did last year with the New York Rangers was just absolutely phenomenal, and I think that he will continue his good work, and I think that Islanders won't have much problems with the Florida Panthers, and I think that Florida Panthers must improve their game a little bit more if they want to succeed in the playoffs. Of course, I don't think that Islanders will go, to the final also, but I think that they will be able to beat Florida Panthers probably in, I don't know, I would say 4 games, 3-1. That's just, I would say that, but yeah, I think that Barry Trotz is a big factor here. Of course, Joe Quenneville is also a very skillful coach, but I just think that New York Islanders, with their defensive structure that they have and have been producing and showing in these last months under the leadership of Barry Trotz, that they will just be able to beat the offensive-minded Florida Panthers. So New York Islanders going all the way here. And yeah, last playing series in the East, that's Toronto Maple Leafs from the 8th spot facing the Columbus Blue Jackets on the 9th spot. They have actually the exactly same point totals. Toronto has 81 points, Columbus has 81 points. So even when you look at the table, it clearly, suggests that it will be a very tight battle. And Columbus has been missing a lot of players throughout the whole year. Seth Jones was injured, Zach Werenski, I think, I'm not sure, but I think he was also injured for a couple of weeks. Oliver Bjorkstrand was injured, Elvis Merzlikins was injured, Jonas Korpisalo was injured, another goaltender. I think Nick Foligno was injured. Of course, Cam Atkinson was injured. So pretty much the whole team of the Columbus was throughout the whole year facing a lot of injury problems, but still they prevailed, and I was very surprised. Before the season, I thought that they would just, without Panarin, without Bobrovsky, without Zingle, without Duchesne, I just thought that they would just finish in the bottom of the table, but they proved me wrong, and I really think that they would be able to overplay Toronto Maple Leafs. And yeah, I think that they should have all of their players ready to go in the end of July. So with the full squad, I think that they will manage to beat the Toronto Maple Leafs, even though Toronto has strikers such as Matthews, very good players such as Mitch Marner, Nylander. In the net, they have Frederik Anderson, but I just think that Columbus, as a team, under the leadership of charismatic John Tortorella, I think they will be able to beat the Maple Leafs. And that will be a very, very hard hit for the Leafs. And I'm not sure if they will recover from that in the next year. Yeah, so Columbus, I think they will go further. So we'll jump just here. Okay, and right now let's go to the top 4 teams, so we will find out who will play who. So here we have Boston, who finished first in the Atlantic Division, Tampa, who finished second in the Atlantic. We have Washington, who finished first in the Metropolitan, and Philadelphia, who finished second in the Metropolitan Division. So they will be playing round robin for the to find out their seeding number. So for example, if Pittsburgh went from the 5th spot to the first round of playoffs, they will play the number 4 seed, because they are the highest seeded from these teams, so they will play the lowest seeded from these teams. So I would guess this tournament will be 3 games, so everyone will play 1 game against the other teams, and yeah, so let's get in it. I think that I would say that Washington would win this group. I just feel like the Capitals are in good shape right now, and I don't know. That's just what went into my head right now. So I think that Washington will win this group, and they will be the number 1 seed. So number 1 seed, I think, will be Washington Capitals. Then we have number 2. Who will be number 2? That's kind of hard to predict, because Boston are, of course, the winners of the President's Trophy this year. Tampa Bay was playing well, especially in the second half of the season. And Philadelphia, I think surprised everyone how well they played under the leadership of Alain Vigneault. So it's very hard, but I would say that probably Tampa Bay, I would say, that would finish as the second team, and then we have Boston and Philadelphia. So out of these two, I would say that Boston probably finished third, and in this mini tournament, and that Philadelphia would eventually finish as the last from this 3-game tournament. So these are basically the seedings, and we'll move to the first round of the playoffs in the East, and we will find out who will eventually progress to the big Stanley Cup 2020 playoff final. So guys, we are back, and we have set up the first round, and we have of course reseeded the whole table. So the first matchup of the first round would be number 1 seed from my mini tournament, which was Washington Capitals, and they will play the lowest seeded from these teams, which basically progressed from the play-in round, and that are New York Rangers. So Washington Capitals against New York Rangers, this is another really good series, and it's very hard for me to say who will win, but I actually think they even said, Gary Bettman said, that the first round could be potentially best of 5 series, the same as the play-in round, but it could be also best of 7 series. So we will see, but the conference finals and and I think also round two could be potentially best of five series, but conference finals and the Stanley Cup final will be definitely best of seven. So I think this will be pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that this will be best of five series, and if it will be a really best of five series, I think the Rangers have actually a pretty good chance of winning it. I really do because as I have said, they were playing so good. I have been watching a lot of their games, and they were really a very confident team under the leadership of David Quinn. And I think that they could potentially beat the Capitals, and that could be a really big upset. But I would go with Rangers, guys. I would go with Rangers. Panarin, Zibanejad, those two are just absolutely gorgeous. And if Shesterkin will be playing the same level at the same level as he was during the regular season, then I think they have a pretty good chance. And I would say that the Rangers will beat the Capitals, right? So they will advance to the second round. I know a lot of you won't agree with me, but that's just my personal opinion. And I think that Rangers could go this fall or potentially this summer on quite a run, and we may all be surprised by their performance. So they are number 11 seeded. So who will they play? We will find right now out. Tampa Bay Lightning against Columbus. What a revenge they could have. We know that Columbus in the last year's first round just completely, embarrassed the Tampa Bay Lightning. They knocked them out in 4 games. That was just completely unexpected. And I don't think the Tampa Bay Lightning players are happy or would be happy to play Columbus once again. And Columbus is back in the full strength. So, it will be once again a very tough matchup for Tampa Bay Lightning. But I would say that this time they would pay a lot closer attention to the Blue Jackets. I think they will be prepared. They won't take it easy, and I think that they will eventually get their revenge this year. So I think that Tampa Bay Lightning would defeat Columbus. If it will be best of five series, I would say in 5 games. It will be very tight, but I think that Tampa Bay Lightning would eventually defeat them, and Tampa Bay as of right now would play the New York Rangers because they are number 2 seed, and they will play the number 11. So that's our first round 2 matchup. And continuing on with another interesting matchup, Boston Bruins playing the New York Islanders. Whew, this is very hard to predict once again. Boston, of course, won the President's Trophy. They were the dominant team during the regular season. Tukarask will be rested because Yaroslav Halak was playing really well in the regular season, so they had a pretty strong tandem. And when you have a well-rested Tukarask, I think he will just take the Bruins further, and especially that first line, Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand, and David Pastrnak, they are just very good. I would say they are the best line in hockey right now, and I think that New York Islanders just won't be able to beat Boston. I think that Boston has the power, and they will just overrun New York Islanders. I won't be surprised if it will be in 3 games, if it will be 3-0, or if it will be best of 7 series, then 4-0. I think that it would be not an completely easy win, but I think that Boston, without the big problems, would have overtake the New York Islanders if they would meet head to head. So I'm choosing Boston to move further as the number 3 seed right here. And who will they play? Well, another big rivalry going on here. The Battle of Pennsylvania. Philadelphia Flyers against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Another super duper matchup. And Philadelphia this season was pretty much, surprised everyone, me as well. They were playing really good hockey. Pittsburgh, but they will have back Jay Gensel, as I have mentioned. They will have Matt Murray and Tristan Jarry, so two really good quality goaltenders. And Philadelphia, I would say that it all would depend on how would be prepared Carter Hart. Carter Hart, very young goalie without many experiences, but he has shown in the last months that he could make some quality saves and that he could carry his team, I think, a lot farther than he has in the last month. So Philadelphia against Pittsburgh Penguins. I think that Philadelphia would eventually win. They will be a little more rested after the round robin, and they would have played only 3 games. Pittsburgh, of course, against Montreal. That could be a long and very physically difficult series. So I think that Philadelphia would eventually beat Pittsburgh in the big battle of Pennsylvania, and they would move forward to the round 2. So we have the round 2 matchups all set, and right now, New York Rangers against Tampa Bay Lightning. So, as long as it will be played in one hub city, there won't be anything like home ice advantage. But I would suggest that this will be the end of the Cinderella story of the New York Rangers, and I think the Tampa Bay Lightning would defeat them. I think the Tampa Bay Lightning they have learned from many lessons from the last year, and I think that they would be prepared, and they would eventually beat the Rangers. I think that this would be the stop of this of my personal magical run by New York Rangers, and that they would be eventually stopped by the big guys from Tampa Bay Lightning, and especially Andrei Vasilevsky. He's playing really well. He's a very good goaltender, and I think that he will carry Tampa Bay on his shoulders to the next round, to the conference finals. So Tampa Bay Lightning advancing here, and here we have Boston Bruins against Philadelphia Flyers. Whew, that's once again very tough matchup, but I just don't see Philadelphia beating Boston. I can see that happening. I just cannot, even though Philadelphia is playing well. They have Voracek, they have Claude Giroux, they have Sean Couturier, they have back, in defense, they have Ivan Provorov, Shane Gostisbehere, so many talented guys, Travis Konechny in front, but I think that Boston has the depth. They are a physical team, and I think that they will manage to eventually get to the conference finals. So I'm picking Bruins. I'm picking Bruins with Big B, and to play Tampa Bay Lightning in the Eastern Conference Finals. So here we go, the Boston Bruins against Tampa Bay Lightning, the matchup that I think all of the hockey fans all over the globe would enjoy, and this is just pure prediction. In my personal opinion, I would go out of these two. Probably I would go with Tampa Bay Lightning. So I would say that Tampa advances and would eventually come up as the winner of the whole Eastern Conference, and that Tampa Bay Lightning will play the best team in the West in the 2020 Stanley Cup final. So that's just, I don't know, Boston is good as well, but I think the Tampa Bay Lightning, they were very enthusiastic last season with 128 points, one of the best seasons in the history of the whole league. This year, from the beginning of the year, they weren't playing that good, but then in the second half they improved their game, they took it to the next level, and I think that they will be mentally well prepared this time, and that John Cooper is a very skillful coach that will be able to just guide them and carry them eventually to the Stanley Cup finals. So let's go right now to the Western Conference and see how the things will be there according to my personal predictions. So guys, continuing on with the Western Conference, we have once again, first of all, playing rounds. So these are not considered to be playoffs, but they are just pre-playoff rounds. And first matchup that we have here is number 5 seeded Edmonton Oilers, and they play the number 12 seeded Chicago Blackhawks. So once again, that's just very easy pick for me. As you can see, I'm picking Edmonton Oilers. I think that they won't have any trouble beating the Chicago Blackhawks. Even though, Chicago has Patrick Kane, they have Jonathan Taves, but through to the end of the season, they have lost Robin Lehner, and I think that that's just a big loss for them. They have lost Robin Lehner. If Chicago had Robin Lehner, I think that their chances would be a lot higher, but currently with Crawford in that, and with that defense with Keith and Seabrook, etc. I think that Edmonton, who have Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, right now they traded for Andreas Athanasiou. They have James Neal. They have Zach Kassian, the physical presence. They have in that Mikko Koskinen. They have Mike Smith. So in the defense, they have Darnell Nurse, they have Oscar Klefbom. I just think that Edmonton is just a deeper team, and a better team than Chicago. That's just my personal prediction, and I think that they won't have any big trouble defeating the Blackhawks. That McDavid and Leon Draisaitl will just carry their teams up to the first round of the playoffs. So continuing on, it's Nashville Predators against Arizona Coyotes. So we have Central Division team and and Pacific Division team. Nashville Predators are the higher seeded team. However, I think that Arizona will move forward and that they will defeat the Nashville Predators. That's just what I think. Based on what I have seen this season, I think that Nashville aren't playing that well as we might from them expected. This may be the last year for Pekka Rinne as the starter. I think that he would be starter over UC Saros, however it's not yet decided. And Arizona Coyotes, they have a pretty decent group of players. They have traded for Taylor Hall. We'll see if he will stay in Arizona. But definitely this playoffs he will be playing along with Phil Kessel. They have Clayton Keller in the defense. They have Goligoski. They have Ekman Larson, the captain. But what's the most important for me? The most important factor in Arizona is in net, and that's Darcy Kemper. I just think that Darcy Kemper is the one of the very, very best goaltenders in the world. And based on how he was playing, especially in the beginning of this season, I think that Darcy Kemper would be just with that core defense and that offense, which gained some good players in the last month. I think that that would be just too much for the Predators, and I think that the playing round would be the stop for the Nashville. Continuing on, Vancouver Canucks. So these guys playing my personal favorite team, Minnesota Wild. So as far as I'm a fan of Minnesota, and I would love to see them go to the first round, I don't think that would happen. I think that Vancouver would just, progress to the first round, because right now Vancouver has a really strong group of guys. Markstrom will be back. He is a very good goaltender. And Elias Pettersson, of course, Brock Besser, Bo Horvath, Tyler Toffoli, addition from LA Kings. I think that Vancouver has all what they need. Of course, Quinn Hughes, the youngster and the favorite for winning the Calder Trophy this season. I think that Vancouver has everything they need in order to beat Minnesota. It's hard for me, but I think that Minnesota will end in the playing round, but at least they will play in some kind of playoffs this year. So I'm satisfied with that. And the last playing round matchup will be number 8 Calgary Flames playing the number 9 Winnipeg Jets, the big Canadian battle, even though we will probably, I'm sure, love to see more Calgary against Edmonton, so the Battle of Alberta, but Calgary against Winnipeg, that is also a good matchup, and I think I will say it straightforward, I think Winnipeg will come up as the better team from this matchup. I think that they're just no defense. Defense was their domain in the last season and in seasons before, but during or before this season, they have lost Jacob Trouba. They have lost, of course, Dustin Byfuglien, who refused to play more, and they have lost some other important guys as Ben Chiarot, Tyler Myers, etc. So their defense group is not that good, but Winnipeg, I'm sorry, but their goalie Connor Hellebuck is playing really well, and that their offense group, I think, would be the factor that would carry them through the playing round against Calgary. They have here Kyle Connor, who is just absolutely decent player. I love watching him play. They have Mark Scheifele, they have Blake Wheeler, they have Patrick Laine. That's just a very good and quality group of offensive-minded guys, and I think that they will advance eventually to the next round. So let's go to the top 4 teams, round robin, their mini tournament, 1 game against each team, so each team will play 3 games, and who has the most points totals will finish first, and then the second team, third and fourth, these will be the numbers by which they will gain their opponents. So it will be constant reseeding because we are playing the whole West Conference in one hub city, so the NHL could do that and they will do that, the reseeding process. So the tournament, I think, will be won by Colorado Avalanche. I think that Colorado is a very talented group of guys. They have Nathan McKinnon, they have Gabriel Landeskog, a very good captain, Cale Makar, of course. And overall, Colorado is playing really well, and they still have a lot of cap space, and they will be a good team for years to come. Joe Sakic is just building a dynasty, I would say, in Colorado, and they are one of the most fascinating teams this season to be watching for. My only concern with Colorado would be probably goaltending, because Pavel Francouz or Grubauer, I don't know, I think that they are just not at top level as, for example, Tuukka Rask, Andrei Vasilevsky, Ben Bishop, Marc-Andre Fleury, etc., etc. I think that goaltending may be the only one spot where they could potentially improve, but other than that, they're just a decent team. On the second spot, I think will finish St. Louis Blues, the Stanley Cup champions from the last year, and yeah, under Craig Berube, they are playing really well. Even this year, they are continuing on with a trend. They are beating one team after another. The top team in the West, I will think, will be seeded as the number 2 team. Then on the third spot, Vegas Golden Knights. The only team on this section of the board from the Pacific Division, so we can see how strong the Central Division is. We have Colorado, St. Louis, and Dallas, all from Central Division, only Vegas Golden Knights from Pacific, and fourth will be, of course, Dallas Stars. I have concern with Dallas about goal scoring. That's just, their defense as well. They have been playing really well in the defensive end of the ice, but in the offense, it just wasn't there. The goals are not coming for Dallas, and I think that will be a great problem for them even in the round 1. So let's get to the round 1, then to the round 2 conference finals, and we will see who will meet Tampa Bay Lightning in the Stanley Cup 2020 final. So guys, we are in the West and we are finally in the playoffs. So this is round 1, the official start of the playoffs in the Western Conference. So it all will be played in one hub cities. So Colorado Avalanche is the winner of my mini tournament or round robin. So they will be playing as number 1 seeded team, the Arizona Coyotes, who defeated in the first round the Nashville Predators. Of course, that's an easy pick for me. I think you would pick the same. That's Colorado Avalanche. advancing to round 2, even though the Arizona has some good offensive group of players that I have talked about before. They have Darcy Kemper, but Colorado has just the more skill, and yeah, Colorado is an easy pick for me in this series. Then St. Louis Blues as the second highest seeded team playing the Winnipeg Jets as the ninth seeded team. Winnipeg defeated Calgary Flames in the playing round. However, this is the rematch of the last year's first round, and I think that it will end the exactly same way. So St. Louis Blues advancing further, and of course they can't play Colorado because they are number 2 seed. So they will play someone else, 1 seed, 2 seeded team, and yeah, Winnipeg, I think they are a good team. They have good future ahead of them, but the St. Louis Blues currently, I think they are carrying on. They are carrying on that line of of excitement from the last season. They want to win Stanley Cup again. They know how it feels to win the Stanley Cup, and they want that feeling to experience once again this year. And they are pretty much a safe pick, I would say, for everybody who's predicting the Stanley Cup champions, because they have been playing well even this year. They were the best team in the regular season in the West. So, Vegas Golden Knights against Vancouver Canucks, the Pacific matchup. I think this will be end of the Canucks. Of these guys, I think they just won't be able to beat the Las Vegas Golden Knights. So, Golden Knights are moving further, and they will play the St. Louis Blues. So Vegas Golden Knights up here as the 3rd seeded will play the 2nd seeded St. Louis Blues. And another match, Dallas Stars, the defensive minded Stars will play the Edmonton Oilers, the Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. I'm choosing Oilers, yes. So right now Oilers are advancing to the 2nd round of the playoffs, and they will play the Colorado Avalanche. I just think that Dallas, they just can't score goals, and that's a big problem for them. And I can't see them beating the Edmonton Oilers, because if you are playing against McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, you know that they will definitely score some goals, and you have to be prepared to score more goals than them. And I just think that Dallas is not capable right now of putting that many goals in the net, and they have just, I would say, to strengthen then their offensive group of players in order to move forward and to potentially be regarded as a big contender for the Stanley Cup. So, Colorado Avalanche playing the Edmonton Oilers, interesting series, but I think that, Edmonton could go further. But I just think that Colorado, as they have the depth right now, I think that they will eventually overtake Oilers, and that they will move to the conference finals. St. Louis against Vegas. This is interesting. This really is interesting. The foreign Stanley Cup champions, and the 2 years before, so 1 year before the St. Louis championship, Vegas went to the Stanley Cup finals. Both of teams are playing well. Both of the teams have a good goaltending. Jordan Binnington here, Marc-Andre Fleury, or potentially Robin Lehner here. And both of them have talented set of defensemen, talented set of forwards. But I would go with Vegas Golden Knights to advance further into the conference finals against Colorado Avalanche. And it's Vegas Golden Knights against Colorado once again. It's hard to predict, but I think that when I look at goaltending, which I have mentioned before, I'm giving the edge to the Vegas Golden Knights, and I think that they will once again go to the Stanley Cup final after 2 years for the 2nd time in their 3-year history. That would be quite something, quite a story, and I think that just based on goaltending, because in these matches, this best of seven series, definitely, I think that it is very important goaltending, and I think that Pavel Francouz or potentially Grubauer are more likely to make those unforced errors than the Marc-Andre Fleury or potentially Robin Lehner. So based just on this fact, I chose Vegas Golden Knights. So they will face the Tampa Bay Lightning, according to my personal opinion, in the big Stanley Cup 2020 finals. So let's see how that will go. So guys, after many minutes, we have finally reached the big Stanley Cup final 2020. This is one of the historic years in the over 100 history of the NHL, because this playoff format, which we have just gone through, these playing rounds, the playoff of 24 teams, we just have not seen anything like that before. And yeah, I'm just wondering how it will all end. And leave a comment down below who is your pick for the Stanley Cup 2020 champions. And right now, let's get back into my prediction of today. So Tampa Bay Lightning, the winner of the Eastern Conference, against the Vegas Golden Knights, the winner of the West. So it's very hard to tell who will win, as it is always. It's just a pure guess. And Tampa Bay Lightning, when I'm thinking about them, they have Andrei Vasilevsky. Vegas, as I have mentioned, Marc-Andre Fleury and Robin Lehner, so two good quality goalies. Tampa Bay has a very good, talented offensive guys such as Nikita Kucherov, Steven Stamkos. I like really Anthony Cirelli. They have many others in the defense. They have Victor Hedman. They have Kevin Shattenkirk, and yeah, they have Coburn. They have Chernak. They have the young Sergachev. So both of these teams are very well built. They have some young guys, some older veteran guys who can lead the group. There won't be any kind of home ice advantage, so that will be also very important. We still don't know if it will be played in the Western Hub City or in the Eastern Hub City, but I think that it just doesn't really matter, and it will be best of seven series. And yeah, so just what I think, I would go with Vegas Golden Knights, just because it will be their first ever Stanley Cup. And as I have said before, if it will go as I have predicted, which I'm sure that it won't be like this, but if it accidentally goes like this, Vegas would have been in the league for 3 years. 2 times they will get to the Stanley Cup final, and once they will win the title. So my 2020 Stanley Cup champions are the Vegas Golden Knights. So we'll see how it will end. And make sure to leave a like if you like this video. If you want more predictions, let me know down in the comment section below. And yeah, in the next day, as I will be also covering some soccer, and Bundesliga of course is right now on, and also we will return to the NHL. We'll do some series previews, and we'll look at some season overviews of the teams that are not currently in the playoffs, such as Anaheim, New Jersey, Ottawa, Detroit, etc. And we'll also look at the draft, I'm sure, and these kind of things. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely leave a comment down below and tell me who your 2020 Stanley Cup champion is. I am really interested in your thoughts, guys. And as always, just stay safe, and yeah, keep and stay in good mood. And I will see you guys. Probably, I would guess, tomorrow. So bye, guys.